At a warehouse facility, two workers were transferring heavy sacks from a large stack onto a conveyor belt. At first, the work appeared organized and smooth. One worker was lifting the sacks and placing them onto the conveyor, while the other stood beside the stack to assist and keep the process moving efficiently. However, as the work continued, part of the stacked sacks slowly began to lose balance. Within seconds, several sacks slipped from the pile and fell toward the area where one of the workers was standing. What had seemed like a controlled situation quickly turned into an unexpected risk. Such incidents show how important proper stacking is in warehouse environments. Loads should be arranged securely, and workers should avoid standing next to or beneath unstable stacks. Security camera footage shows a dangerous moment on a narrow road involving a motorcycle and heavy construction equipment. As a motorcyclist was turning around a bend, a loader was moving toward the same lane. It appeared that the loader operator did not notice the approaching motorcycle. As a result, a low-speed contact occurred between the two vehicles. Immediately after the incident, the operator quickly applied the brakes and stopped the machine, preventing a more serious outcome. Situations like this highlight how important it is to operate heavy machinery carefully and at low speed on narrow, shared roads. Operators should remain extra cautious in areas with limited visibility and use a spotter when necessary. Reducing speed around corners and blind spots can significantly lower the risk of collisions. A worker was attempting to carry a heavy air conditioning unit up a staircase. However, the structure beneath him was unstable. With each step he took, the platform swayed more and more. The heavy load in his arms restricted his movement, making it difficult to react quickly in case of a slip. Within seconds, the balance was completely lost. The ladder shifted out of place, the temporary platform collapsed, and the worker fell along with the equipment he was carrying. Incidents like this show how improperly built scaffolding, or platforms, can create serious hazards. Heavy equipment should be moved using proper lifting tools and stable working platforms. Temporary or weak solutions can lead to dangerous outcomes. In a busy warehouse environment, a risky situation occurred during an operation involving a lifting platform. While forklifts were placing pallets and workers moved in coordination across the floor, a loaded lifting platform began to rise. A worker was also standing on the platform to make a quick adjustment. At first, everything appeared balanced and under control. However, as the platform continued to rise, the balance point was exceeded. Once the safe limit was passed, the weight shifted backward. The platform suddenly began to tilt. The structure shook violently, and the load started to move out of position. In the moment, just before a possible impact, it became clear how quickly balance can be lost. Lifting platforms should never be used above their designated maximum height limits. Using the same equipment to carry both loads and personnel can create serious risks. During a lifting operation performed with a crane, an unexpected failure occurred. As the load was being lifted upward, the hook mechanism continued rising beyond its safe operating limit. This created excessive tension in the steel cable. After a short moment, the cable could no longer withstand the pressure and suddenly snapped. With the cable breaking, the suspended load lost control, and the operation quickly turned into a dangerous situation. Events like this demonstrate how important it is to follow equipment limits during crane operations. Overhoisting can create dangerous tension in cables and hook systems. Operators must carefully monitor lifting height, and all equipment should be inspected regularly. Security camera footage captures a dangerous moment involving a three-wheeled vehicle traveling downhill. As the vehicle moves quickly, it approaches a bend and drifts toward the roadside barrier. Although the driver attempts to turn, the momentum created by the speed makes the vehicle unstable. It collides with the barrier, tips onto its side, and for a brief moment, it appears that control has been completely lost. However, unexpectedly, the driver manages to regain steering control. The vehicle returns to an upright position and continues moving forward. The moment shows how a situation that could have resulted in serious consequences was narrowly avoided. Incidents like this highlight how risky excessive speed can be, especially on downhill roads. Three-wheeled and lightweight vehicles are more prone to tipping due to their higher center of gravity. Security camera footage shows a dangerous situation at a busy loading area. A large truck carrying heavy cargo was preparing to reverse. However, several people were standing directly behind the vehicle in an area outside the driver's field of vision. The driver began reversing without fully noticing the movement around him. At that exact moment, a motorcyclist was passing behind the truck, leaving very little distance between the two. Fortunately, a nearby person reacted quickly and moved the motorcyclist away from the dangerous area, preventing a possible collision at the last second. Incidents like this demonstrate how risky blind spots can be around large vehicles. In a small workshop, a worker was making adjustments near a surface grinding machine. Under dim lighting, the machine was still in its preparation phase. When the machine was started, the grinding disc began spinning and sparks appeared as expected. However, shortly afterward, a loud cracking sound was heard, and the disc shattered. Broken fragments were thrown outward at high speed, creating a dangerous moment inside the workshop. Such incidents show how risky it can be to use grinding machines without proper setup and safety equipment. Grinding discs should always be inspected before use. Protective guards must be installed, and operators should stand at a safe distance during the initial startup. In a busy workshop environment, heavy metal plates were stacked and prepared to be lifted by an overhead crane. When the crane operator began the lifting operation, the chains and steel cables started to tighten under the immense weight. As the load slowly rose, vibrations in the cables created tension that was difficult to notice from above. The loud sounds of machinery in the workshop almost masked the danger. A few seconds later, a sharp snapping sound suddenly echoed through the area. One of the lifting cables broke instantly, and the suspended metal plates fell rapidly to the ground. When the load hit the floor, a powerful impact shook the area and dust filled the air. At a cargo port, an excavator was transferring material from one ship to another. At the same time, a bulldozer inside the vessel was spreading and leveling the dumped material. As the excavator operator swung the bucket to unload the next load, the bulldozer moved slightly closer to the working area. Because the distance between the two machines was misjudged, the excavator's bucket made contact with the bulldozer. The impact briefly lifted the front part of the bulldozer off the ground. Both operators immediately noticed the situation and stopped their machines, preventing a more serious incident. Events like this demonstrate how important coordination is when multiple heavy machines operate in the same area.